Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. It's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price. The stock market is designed to transfer money from the active to the patient. Our favorite holding period is forever. Time is the friend of the wonderful company, the enemy of the mediocre. Beware the investment activity that produces applause. The great moves are usually greeted by yawns. Opportunities come infrequently. When it rains gold, put out the bucket, not the thimble. The most important investment you can make is in yourself. In the business world, the rearview mirror is always clearer than the windshield. Honesty is a very expensive gift. Don't expect it from cheap people. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. The best investment you can make is in your own abilities. Anything you can do to develop your own abilities or business is likely to be more productive. Diversification is protection against ignorance. It makes little sense if you know what you are doing. If you aren't willing to own a stock for 10 years, don't even think about owning it for 10 minutes. You only have to do a very few things right in your life so long as you don't do too many things wrong. The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. What we learn from history is that people don't learn from history. I will tell you how to become rich. Close the doors. Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. There seems to be some perverse human characteristic that likes to make easy things difficult. You can't produce a baby in 1 month by getting 9 women pregnant. Chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. We simply attempt to be fearful when others are greedy and to be greedy only when others are fearful. In the world of business, the people who are most successful are those who are doing what they love. If past history was all there was to the game, the richest people would be librarians. Predicting rain doesn't count. Building arcs does. It's better to hang out with people better than you. Pick out associates whose behavior is better than yours and you'll drift in that direction. You only find out who is swimming naked when the tide goes out. Wall Street is the only place that people ride to in a Rolls-Royce to get advice from those who take the subway. A pin lies in wait for every bubble. And when the two eventually meet, a new wave of investors learns some very old lessons. When we own portions of outstanding businesses with outstanding managements, our favorite holding period is forever. You do things when the opportunities come along. I've had periods in my life when I've had a bundle of ideas come along, and I've had long dry spells. If I get an idea next week, I'll do something. The business schools reward difficult, complex behavior more than simple behavior, but simple behavior is more effective. You know, you keep doing the same things and you keep getting the same result over and over again. The investor of today does not profit from yesterday's growth. If a business does well, the stock eventually follows. I always knew I was going to be rich. I don't think I ever doubted it for a minute. We don't have to be smarter than the rest. We have to be more disciplined than the rest. Someone's sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. The best thing I did was to choose the right heroes. I am a better investor because I am a businessman, and a better businessman because I am an investor. I never attempt to make money on the stock market. I buy on the assumption that they could close the market the next day and not reopen it for 5 years. In the 20th century, the United States endured 2 world wars and other traumatic and expensive military conflicts, the Depression, a dozen or so recessions and financial panics, oil shocks, a flu epidemic, and the resignation of a disgraced president. Yet the Dow rose from 66 to 11,497. Our approach is very much profiting from lack of change rather than from change. With Wrigley chewing gum, it's the lack of change that appeals to me. I don't think it is going to be hurt by the internet. That's the kind of business I like. In the insurance business, there is no statute of limitation on stupidity. When trillions of dollars are managed by Wall Streeters charging high fees, it will usually be the managers who reap outsized profits, not the clients. Both large and small investors should stick with low-cost index funds. The best way to think about investments is to be in a room with no one else and just think. And if that doesn't work, nothing else is going to work. I always invest in companies better than myself. If you buy things you do not need, soon you will have to sell things you need. Games are won by players who focus on the playing field, not by those whose eyes are glued to the scoreboard. I measure success by how many people love me. If you don't feel comfortable owning something for 10 years, then don't own it for 10 minutes. It's better to have a partial interest in the Hope Diamond than to own all of a rhinestone. Never give up searching for the job that you're passionate about. The most important quality for an investor is temperament, not intellect. The best chance to deploy capital is when things are going down. It is not necessary to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. The best investment you can make is in yourself. Of the billionaires I have known, money just brings out the basic traits in them. If they were jerks before they had money, they are simply jerks with $1 billion. We enjoy the process far more than the proceeds. If you get to my age in life and nobody thinks well of you, I don't care how big your bank account is, your life is a disaster. The most important thing to do if you find yourself in a hole is to stop digging.